Streets of Birmingham typically explores the city's roadside history. However, in this special series, Bev Bevan from ELO and Des Tong, bassist of Sad Cafe, will be twisting the theme in order to trace the old venues and band hangouts from back in the day.
That's what you used to do in the daytime. And you used just to go into these and spend all day basically, and never buy anything, just trying out different things.
It wasn't a big deal about playing it, because you did.
That's all you did. There was no miming, and there was you didn't get any help.
No.
You just had to play.
With stories of famous musicians, great gigs they played, and how those old venues look today, join Bev and Des as they take on the Streets of Birmingham music.
Well, here we are again.
Yeah.
Now this time we're over on South Birmingham.
Yep.
Your neck of the woods, and we're starting off by your old school.
Yeah, on a beautiful old school it is still. I spent millions actually renovating this. It was, in my day, it was Moseley Grammar School.
Yeah.
And that's where I met Jasper Carrott, my first day at school.
I remember him telling me, yeah.
Yeah.
Sat next to you, didn't he?
Yeah. Because I was at the front, Bevan, he was Davies, his proper name.
Yeah.
And we were actually sat next to each other at the very front of it was our first day at school, front row of the classroom. Obviously started talking to one another.
Yeah.
And that was our first day at school, and we've been great friends ever since.
Absolutely amazing.
And this is Moseley Grammar School, and this is where I've played for my first band, as I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Everyone starts at school, you know, and we started, and we played. We had quite a famous band here, the Fortunes.
Right.
Two of the Fortunes
really?
came to this. They were a year older than me, but they were at this school.
Right.
And then I formed my first band, which was Rocking Ronnie and the Renegades. And we used to play, like, around here, little youth clubs and things.
Brilliant. Right. Well, so let's set off, because I want to go to King's Heath.
Yeah.
Which is just down the road, isn't it?
Not far away. We are.
I'm aiming for the Hare and Hounds, because that is now, well, it's pretty much one of the big. Did it win some award for the best venue or somewhere recently, I think?
Yeah, and there actually is a King's Heath Walk of Stars.
Yes.
And
yes, I've heard
Trevor
of that.
Burton is an inductee or whatever.
Right.
And so's Toyah. And I presented Toyah with the award.
Oh, right.
At the Hare and Hounds.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted you to talk about is the fact that at the back of the Hare and Hounds, which we're going to come up to in a second, was the Ritz, wasn't it?
The Ritz was one of, I think, 4 venues that Ma and Pa Regan rented. I guess they didn't own them.
Yeah.
There's the Ritz here in King's Heath. There's a place called the Gary Owen.
Yeah, that's down near Birmingham. That's Birmingham City, one Small Heath.
Small Heath.
Yeah.
And then there's the 2 plazas, the Plaza Handsworth and the plaza in Old Hill.
Yeah.
And one of the most memorable night for me in my young career was when it was Denny Lane and the Diplomats. It would have been 1963, 4, probably 64, and we were playing the Old Hill Plaza, opening for the Beatles. And
right.
the Beatles were at this venue.
Right. Which we're just about to come up to now.
Yeah,
This is the
York.
Hare and Hounds
Yeah,
right on the
there's Hare and
corner.
Hounds, York Road.
York Road.
Just down here on the right, I think it's burnt down
It
now.
sadly is, yes. But
This was the Ritz Ballroom in King's Heath.
Sun is shining in the sky. There ain't a cloud in sight. It stopped raining. Everybody's doing a play. And don't you know, it's a beautiful new day. Hey, running down the avenue.
Now the Beatles played here at the Ritz Ballroom, and of course it was the height of Beatlemania. I think they'd had Love Me Do and Please Please Me and From Me to You.
Yeah.
And I think that they were just about to release She Loves You.
right.
So it was Beatlemania, and of course they couldn't get out of this place because of all the screaming girls.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, meanwhile, we're on stage as Denny Lane and the Diplomats at the Old Hill Plaza, and half our set that we normally play were Beatles songs,
Right.
and we couldn't do any of them, obviously. So we'd got about an hour's worth of material, and so we're playing away, and we're running out of songs, and towards the end of the set, we were getting really quite desperate, and we did a version of Take 5. The Dave Brubeck
Oh, right,
thing,
yeah, yeah.
and an instrumental with a drum solo, a 5/4 drum solo in it, in 5/4 time.
Yeah.
And by this time, at the end of the set, the Beatles had arrived, and they were watching us from the side of the stage.
Yeah.
And then we finish, and I'm packing my drums away, and Paul McCartney comes up to me, and he said, "Hey mate," he said, "that was great, that that drum solo, like, 5/4 time." He said, "Hey, our drummer could never do that." Oh, I lived on that for years. Yeah.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why you had to hide away for so long. Where did we go wrong? Baby, Mr. Blue, so pleased to be with you. Look around, see what you do. Everybody smiles at you.
Now, I'm trying to find a little studio that's hidden away in the back of King's Heath, which has got another one of these amazing heritage of people who've actually worked there. And I've got an idea. It's just round this corner. In actual fact, it is right here. And this is Highbury Studios. Now, Highbury Studios, Duran Duran, UB40, Ocean Colour Scene did
Wow.
Moseley Shoals,
Yeah,
just in that little building there.
that's extraordinary.
And I know it was recent. It was sold recently. There was a big hoo-ha about it, saying that it can't be allowed to be like sold or demolished or whatever. And I think it's actually been rescued. Somebody's got it.
Well, I hope so.
But no sign, nothing. It's just hidden away.
You wouldn't know. I wouldn't have known that.
No,
that's
incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
After the break.
Sort of, it took quite a while for it to get there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it was so different, I suppose, wasn't it?
It was,
It was like a completely new style, using all those string players.
Yeah, yeah. And we started off. We made the decision with ELO not to do what the Move had done, and the Move should have gone to America.
Yeah.
And it would have done well, I think. So we concentrated on America with ELO.
Yeah.
And in fact, by the time we got to our third album, El Dorado, that was a gold album in America. Can't Get It Out of My Head was a top 10 single.
Yeah.
Those weren't hits in Britain.
Right.
You know, they weren't. It wasn't a hit single. It wasn't a hit album. So we actually, but we did it. We went to America and we just opened for so many people. I think there's more bands have come out of Birmingham, the Birmingham area, than the Liverpool area or the London area.
Yeah.
You know, thinking back, I think it started with like the Applejacks. I think they had the first hit.
Jerry Freeman, good friend of mine.
And then there's the Rocking Berries.
Yeah.
The Fortunes.
Yeah.
Spencer Davis Group.
Yeah.
Then probably maybe the Move. I'm probably missing people out here.
Idle Race.
Idle Race. Black Sabbath came along in '68.
Yeah.
If you include like Led Zeppelin, which is just outside the area. They came along in '69. You've talked about Duran Duran.
Because they started at the Rum Runner, which we passed.
They did.
The other week.
Yeah. And UB40. I mean, how many hits have they had?
Yeah.
It's just it just goes. The list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Traffic. So many. I'm missing people out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it has produced so much music. ELO, of course, are in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fantastic area for music and such diverse music, from out and out pop, you know, like the Fortunes and Rocking Berries.
Yeah.
To the invention of heavy metal with Black Sabbath, really.
Yes, absolutely.
And then like UB40, you know, how different is that? And Duran Duran, which is like new romantic stuff.
You said it was like a slow build.
Yeah.
It's sort of, you know, it took quite a while for it to get there.
Yeah.
Because it was so different, I suppose, wasn't it? It was like a completely new style, using all those string players.
Yeah. And we started off. We made the decision with ELO not to do what the Move had done, and you know, the Move should have gone to America, and it would have done well, I think. So we concentrated on America with ELO.
Yeah.
And in fact, by the time I got to our third album, El Dorado, that was a gold album in America. Can't Get It Out of My Head was a top 10 single.
Yeah.
Those weren't hits in Britain.
Right.
You know, it wasn't a hit single, it wasn't a hit album. So we actually, but we did it, we went to America and we just opened for so many people.
Yeah.
Steve Miller Band and Johnny Winter, Edgar Winter.
Yeah.
And the first real major tour we did, Coast to Coast, was opening for Deep Purple.
Right.
But then we started playing these 20,000 seater arenas. And then we had another big hit album and stuff, Face the Music and New World Record, and then we started headlining, but we'd got used to it then because we'd played these venues before.
Yeah. So
in a kind of a win-win situation, because people hadn't come to see us, they'd come to see Deep Purple.
Yeah.
And if they liked us, great. If they didn't, it didn't matter that much.
Yeah.
But we were ready then to play to these big crowds.
Yeah.
And artists now do these The Voice talent type shows, Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
They've never played anywhere before live.
No.
They win the thing or whatever, or they even the ones that don't win, they put them on a package tour.
Yeah.
And suddenly they're playing the Genting Arena.
Yeah.
And they've
no experience.
They haven't even played a pub.
No.
And now they're playing the Genting Arena.
I know.
The old way was better.
Yep. want to go over to your youth, over to the Stratford Road.
Okay.
And find a Springfield Ballroom. Springfield Ballroom.
Yeah.
And also the shop where your record shop.
My Heavy Head Records shop, which I think we're going to show you a photo of, a great lineup of the opening of the shop.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's see if I can find my way there.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
We're on the Stratford Road now.
Yeah.
Which I bet it's changed a bit since you lived.
It's an awful lot since I was here. Yeah.
But we're coming up to a pretty significant part of your early life, which was your Heavy Head Records.
Yeah. Well,
store,
it's the shop. It's 803 Stratford Road, Sparkhill, and it's where from the age of 7, it's where I lived, and until I was 25 or something.
Yeah.
And in 1970, it was like a sweet shop, and sold all sorts of things, and it cigarettes and it was a kid's heaven, and I actually lived in it. You know, I got to read all the annuals and play with the toys and eat the sweets and stuff. But then, but later on, and it was just around the time of ELO forming and the move splitting up, I formed this record shop. My mum retired, went to live above it, and I formed this record store called Heavy Head Records.
Right.
And it's kind of specialised in progressive music, and it was that era.
Yeah.
And we had an opening day, and we have this wonderful photo.
Yeah.
And there's obviously myself and Jeff Lynne and Rick Price, who went on to, as well as moving on to Wizard.
Yeah.
And we've got Raymond Froggatt on there.
Raymond, yeah.
You've got Robert Plant and John Bonham.
John Bonham, yeah.
And you've got Tony Iommi and Ozzy Osbourne from
Wow.
Sabbath. And they were all standing right there outside that, which is now AKA Chartered Accountant and Registered Auditors.
Fantastic. And there on the left.
Yeah, and it hasn't changed much. It's now called the Grand Occasions Banqueting Suite, but that was that was a ballroom.
Let's do a sweep round to the left here.
This was Springfield Ballroom, and my band and Denny Lane and the Diplomats, we had a Wednesday night residency in 1963.
Fantastic.
At the Springfield Ballroom, and it really hasn't changed much at all. No. Amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, we've come to the end of our journey.
Yeah, and it's kind of the start of my career. We've ended at the start, really.
It's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Babe, it's been absolutely fantastic. I've loved it. I mean, obviously, you know, an out-of-towner, although I've been down quite a lot, and I do know quite a lot, but some of the stuff you've been talking about, you know, is brilliant, like the Beatles and all those sort of stories, you know. The Futurals, I love that sort of...
Yeah, they were legendary.
Yeah.
Legendary stuff. Yeah. It was a number of amazing times.
Yeah.
The 60s in... I'm sure the 60s were great in Manchester, but the 60s when I was around the 60s, it was a great time to start doing something that you loved. And for me, it was playing drums and playing music. Yeah. And we were so lucky looking back that there were so many places to play.
Yeah, oh yes.
There's so many bands to join, so many other musicians to talk to and work with.
Yeah.
And they were innocent days, but they were brilliant.
And the beauty of it is, you're still doing it.
Still doing it, still out there, rocking and rolling. Nothing I like better. I'm never happier than behind my drums playing.
Could you ever think of retiring?
No,
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
As long as I'm fit enough to play, I shall play. I love playing drums.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Bev, thank you so much.
Thank you, Des.